Coming up next on The Mikey Martin Show.
But I really do love that ballerina picture where she's on point and on one foot is the perfectly wrapped ribbon of the beautiful ballet slipper. And on the other side is her cut, bleeding, bruised foot. And it says, everyone wants to reach success until they see what it takes to get there. Back when I was really just dark in my life, I lost my identity and my marriage is failing. I am on suicidal watch. I realized that I had to build the muscle strength of my mind rather than just my body. But if you don't take the time to take care of you, there's really nothing left in that bucket to give, because that is really how you realize that life is always happening for you and not to you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today we have a really special guest that I'm so excited to have on. She has her own podcast, own company. This is Kiera Dente. She is the founder and CEO of the Dental A-Team, and it's a super successful company. They've been doing a lot of revenue, a lot of other stuff. They actually have their own podcast. You guys should check it out, the Dental A-Team podcast. They've done hundreds of episodes. She's bringing tons of value to the market. So I'm so excited to welcome to the show, Kiera. Kiera, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mikey, super fun to be here. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to this podcast with another podcaster. Definitely love to get on the pod. So it's an honor to be here, and I'm excited to just riff with you and give as much value as we possibly can.
Guys, this one's gonna be full of value. I can already feel it. Kiera has a great personality and she is killing it right now. Kiera, can you just take a second, introduce yourself? You know, who are you? What's your brand? What's your mission? Who's Kiera?
Yeah, for sure. So, and thank you so much again. We love what we do and we're very passionate about it, but I think I'm more passionate about people and helping inspire people to live their life and their dreams. So I actually went to BYU. I know that's where you met my sister and how we even got connected to the podcast, but I went to BYU and I actually studied marriage and family therapy. But in high school, I had decided to go into dentistry. I wanted to wear scrubs. So that's how I kind of got into dentistry. Then decided I was going to be a therapist. Then I got accepted into grad school and had a full ride scholarship to be a marriage and family therapist. And I said, I'm not sure this is really what I want to do. I really miss my patients back at the practice. So I actually turned down full ride scholarship and ended up working at a dental practice. And then my husband went to pharmacy school. I taught at the dental college for 3 years. And then I actually went and helped a student straight out of school. She had graduated as a dentist. I went and helped her. I was an owner in the practice. We took our first practice from 500,000 to 2.4 million in 9 months. We bought our second practice. And I thought, all right, that was pretty fun. But working at the dental college, like, hey, maybe I could probably help a few more dentists out there with their practices. So let me just try this out. So I went and helped a friend and consulted. I had never consulted before. And we were able to take his practice from doing about 90,000 a month to 150 in the first month that I worked with him. And I thought, all right, we're on to something. So we created the Dental A-Team Consulting. We physically fly to hundreds of practices. I typically hit almost all 50 states every year. I have a little states app so I can see how many states we hit. And we really our mission is to positively impact the world of dentistry in the greatest way possible. So that's actually what spurred the podcast, created that, and encourages us to keep working. So we have consultants who fly all over the nation. I've personally consulted in Canada and New Zealand and Australia. Almost got deported out of Canada. We can share that for another day. But that's a little bit about who I am, my journey, why I'm even here. And I always get asked the question, Mikey, if Dent is really my last name or if it's just a stage name. And the answer is yes. Kiera Dente really is my name. It just took 3 fiancés, which is a really fun BYU joke because, I mean, we all know the joke about it. My husband, when he did propose, he had to ask my dad, he's like, well, Rick, me, like the other 2 guys, I also want to marry your daughter. And he's like, that was not quite how I always imagined that, asking to marry my fiance. Like, I never thought that'd go that way, but that really is my last name. And I think it's just fitting because there truly is passion for dentistry flowing out of me and everything we do and just serving people and making them truly expand what they believe is possible in dentistry and in themselves.
Yeah, it's guys, what an intro. Go back and listen again. Like, that's fun. Kiera, that's so cool. I mean, and frankly, people just need to go listen to you and your podcast and get to know you and your brand better because you sound like just the funnest person. I mean, what a story. Well, and you guys, I mean, you went from doing, great numbers at the beginning, and now you're all over. I mean,
Yeah.
you've expanded really quickly. How long has your company been around, and how hard was it for you guys to ramp up?
Yeah. So I actually feel like I kind of got the golden spoon of success just kind of gifted to me. I do notice that. So I started the company technically in November 2016. So we just hit our 5-year mark. But really, that was just me. Like when I say I started it, I had an email address and I made a really awesome entrepreneurial mistake and thought, I'm going to make it big. So I had my logo and I decided to print. I think I printed, I'm not kidding, 1,000 folders with my logo on it, thinking I'm surely going to be giving out 1,000 of these. Those folders ended up being some nice like furniture and cabinet tables. Like I just like threw sheets over it. I had so many folders and magnets. The company's actually gone through 3 different brand changes. It started out as Kiera's Dental Consulting, went to Dental Masters, and now it is Dental A Team. So definitely started that out about 5 years ago. I connected in with another consulting company and he didn't have travelers. So overnight, I literally went from one consulting client, that client I told you about with the 90,000 to 150, ended up being a client of this other consultant that I ended up partnering with for a couple of years. And so overnight, I went from like one consulting client, never having had worked with a consultant, to having 50 clients overnight. So I was definitely hustling the road. I hired my first employee. We make the joke because she was a 1099. I didn't have any way to pay her. I was paying her via Venmo. I got shut down by Venmo because I was using my husband's account too. It was like a hodgepodge of a company. I still am shocked at the people who took a risk to work with us when we first started. But now 5 years later, we have 6 employees. We're in 3 different states, working in all 50 states. And we're about to hire our 7th, 8th, and 9th employee this year. So definitely a fun trajectory, lots of mistakes I made, and happy to share or discuss anything to really just be able to give back and share how I think every success story also has maybe a darker side to every coin. And I think sometimes we don't share or talk about that. And we just think all these people got these golden spoons of success and success just happens. But I really do love that ballerina picture where she's on point and on one foot is the perfectly wrapped ribbon of the beautiful ballet slipper. And on the other side is her cut, bleeding, bruised foot. And it says, everyone wants to reach success until they see what it takes to get there. And I would say every story that you will ever hear, definitely ask of what the other parts are. Like, what did they have to go through to get there? Because it's not just valleys and peaks. It's an entire journey to get there that morphs you as a person as well, if you're willing to let it.
I feel like you're the perfect person to speak to that too. I mean, that's just life, but I think entrepreneurship is the greatest. I mean, some people have called it like the greatest self-development program there is, because it's you and it's only you and it's results or no results. And you just kind of have to live with that. And the thing is, I love that you really do. You provide really good value to people who are already doing things and they're already on a committed path. And so anyway, guys, something to learn there. But I love that Kiera pointed out that there's always kind of that darker side, or, just the struggle that goes through. Because we're on this podcast, often we've talked about recovery and how to kind of try and not burn out and try and keep kind of an upward trajectory, try and recover so that you can come back sharp every day. Kiera, was there things that you had to actually pull back away from the business so you could take care of yourself personally as you were growing? Or what do you do to kind of recover throughout this whole process?
Sure. I think it's fun to go back to who I was when the company first started. So I talk about all this success, but if I were to spin to the dark side when we started the company, I actually had, and this is going to go dark, Mikey. I don't know how dark you want to go, but that's okay. I think
Buckle
it's
up,
important
everyone.
to share authenticity, because I know when I looked at mentors and I looked at businesses, I didn't realize that this was just a part of the woven fabric of who they become. So for me, I had attempted suicide. I had lost my marriage was in shambles. Had divorce papers on the line. I'm 5'8", and I weighed 92 to 98 pounds. So very anorexic. I had no desire to be who I was. And I really, I had a picture on my phone of a burnt field, and it was just black ash everywhere. And there was a little sprig of green, poking up through this. So it's completely black ash with a little sprig of green. And that's who I say I was when the company started. And I will say Dental A Team is not my company. I feel like it was truly formed out of the ashes of my life. And I don't say that as something to ask for sympathy, because at the end of the day, I'm grateful for who that was, because I think that fuel and that fire is what created this like determined being within me to create a company that would grow. But I think so often the more I talk to entrepreneurs and the more I talk with people, I realize almost every person has had some type of defining and refining moment in their career, and it's multiples. It's not just one. Yes, that was my starting point. But then, like I said, my marriage, oh my gosh, like I'm so thankful for my husband, and he's an incredible person, but it was not an easy path for us. We now are facing infertility journey that we're on. And so when you ask about this recovery, I think it's very easy to, in a business, get lost of that push, that grind, that hustle, because it is truly an addictive nature. Right. But if you don't take the time to take care of you, there's really nothing left in that bucket to give, because as an entrepreneur, the only person who really fills that bucket is yourself. As team members, you have coworkers and colleagues that are rallying you on and giving you great feedback. As the leader of a business, it is very rare that people write you thank you cards that tell you you're doing a great job. It's a very isolated world up there that I found. At the end of the day, I need to be my biggest advocate, my biggest cheerleader, and taking care of me, because I am the company's greatest asset today. I am the one who drives this business, and I need to really make sure I take that responsibility seriously. So when I knew the topic of this podcast, I was thinking of what have been some of the things that have helped me with that recovery, with that strength. And honest to goodness, one of my favorite books is called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And in that book, he really talks about, he calls it the savers, and I've kind of adopted my own version of it. But I meditate every morning. I write in my journal every day of what I'm grateful for, and my accomplishments and my improvements and my goals every single day. A lot of people don't hit goals, and quite frankly, it's not because they don't have the skill set or the want or the desire. It's they lack the discipline of reviewing those goals consistently and making them musts rather than shoulds. So for me, my goals are musts. They're not shoulds. If I'm going to put it as a goal, I will find a way to hit that goal. And so it just comes from that discipline. And I think over my years as a business owner and the things I've learned as a person is, you really have to have disciplined behavior. You've got to really work for these standards and these expectations you have of yourself, because no one's going to push you harder or love you stronger than yourself. And so developing that and mastering that, I think, is the journey of entrepreneurship. I don't think I'm perfect at it, but really bringing those pieces in. So it's a daily morning ritual. And the more I talk to people, I just did a podcast with Corey Pinniger earlier, who's the CEO of Call Force. And he and I were literally just talking about that morning sacred time for you as a business owner of getting your mind straight, meditating, praying, connecting in with yourself, reviewing your goals of why you're even doing this, and then setting yourself up for success. I then work out. I have my own personal quiet time, and really just reflecting on who I want to be. So yes, when I started the company, when I talk about that practice of the 500,000 to 2.4 million, like if you want to see the cut ups, like foot behind the ballet slipper, I was up at 2 a.m. working till 10 p.m. every day. It was not this easy cakewalk. And I think so often I thought that that's what I needed to do to be successful. And now I'm realizing, oh, let me actually take time for Kiera. Let me make sure I take care of my needs, my family, my friends, make sure I am balanced. I used to have my phone on me all the time, responding to every text, every email, trying to grow and hustle. And I realized there's a time and a place. And if I'm centered and I am taken care of, I can give so much more to my team, to my clients, to every person that I interact with, because me, myself, I'm whole. But I'll be honest, it's a daily practice. It's a daily discipline. And I'm not always perfect at it, but definitely always striving to be better every single day.
My goodness. That's just, anyway, it's so authentic. I love that. That's the thing I love about some of the people we've had on this podcast. They really are real with who they are and what their story has been. And they've decided to grow from it. They've decided to take the reality of it and not neglect it or not, try and hide it from their identity. They don't want to hide from their past. They really embrace the storm. So, oh my goodness. Yeah. And the other thing I love is that you totally take these images and you really you suck in that the art of either the field or the ballet slipper. It's just like you really find these great ways to express what's going on in a very
Yeah.
simple and a very visual manner, which is so cool. But guys, if you were listening to that, you saw that like she has her morning routine. She knows, she's figured out the tools that work for her. I'm a little curious, Kiera. Is there a certain meditation that you do every day, or do you try different ones throughout the day, or throughout the week, or what do you do for meditation?
Yeah. I think it's what fills my soul during that day. I used to be more rigid, and I think the rigidity actually is not necessary. So I have some favorite ones. I definitely was a Headspace fan for quite a while. I really struggled with meditation, but I will bring up the reason I decided to do meditation was back when I was really just dark in my life. I lost my identity and my marriage is failing. I am on suicidal watch. I realized that I had to build the muscle strength of my mind rather than just my body. And so I view my mind as a muscle that needs to be strengthened. And meditation for me is that strengthening. I have a very busy mind. I think most entrepreneurs do. That's why we get so much done. That can be a blessing and a curse because it can never shut off. And I found that white noise space in my life, which I call it. So when I'm out in nature, when I'm hiking, those are truly when my best ideas come. So why don't I create more of that in my day-to-day space? And so for me, I've got a great girl on YouTube that I love. I tried Headspace. I've got Insight Timer right now. And I try to kind of ebb and flow between the guided meditations versus just sitting in stillness. And sometimes I'll have a question that I'll ponder versus it being guided on things I want. There's an awesome one of productivity, like just Google like productivity. This is a girl with her arms outstretched on YouTube. Honest to goodness, if you want to have like the most productive, like easy flowing day, that is the one I will listen to. But really, it's just like I said, for me, it's that space, that quiet. And as hard as sometimes when I put that timer on, I'm like, oh my gosh, 5 minutes. It's only been 30 seconds. Like, oh, but it really does. Again, it's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be a practice that just strengthens that muscle mind. Because for me, I want to be more in control of my thoughts and the directions and the decisiveness that I am. And I personally think that is one of the greatest ways to do so.
I love that. The other thing that I wrote down that I love that you said, which I haven't heard for a while, is you turn you review your goals and you turn your shoulds into musts. And I think some people have never even heard that and they don't know what it means. Can you go into it just a little bit?
For sure. So I think that this is like when I was prepping for your guys' podcast, I know you do a lot of this recovery time. And so I think that that's your morning ritual time, your self-reflection time, your reviewing of your goals. That way you can get GSD, get stuff done, like in your day-to-day life, right? And so for me with that, I heard it actually from Tony Robbins, huge mentor of mine. I joined his platinum consulting group and I've just been on fire because I like to elevate my peer group and constantly be the smallest fish in the room. But when I think about my goals, because he says like in life, we only get our musts. So for me, like, what is your must? Like for me, I must eat food every day. I must like get 8 hours of sleep. That's my like kryptonite is sleep. And those are musts for me. Those are things that I'm just naturally going to get done. But goals, I've often found people almost haphazardly. It's almost like a wish that they wish upon a star and they hope that their goals become a reality. But for me, I've really taken ownership of my goals. And I think that that's been a lot of the success of Dental A Team is when I set a goal, I don't just write it on a piece of paper and hope and pray that I'm going to get there. I strategically make it into a must. So for example, this year, our company is on track. I typically double, if not do a 70% growth year over year. And people ask, Kiera, how have you been able to sustain that? How have you been able to do that? And I say, I literally break this down into quarters. Like, it's not like I just hope and wish out there, but this is a must. So it's, what do I need to do in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4? And then my husband and I were just chatting this morning because his goals are very much off track and my goals are very much on track. And I said, do you review your goals at least weekly, if not daily? And he said, no, I don't. And I think that's what's often happened. Again, it's that I should get this done. I should work out. I should save money. I should start a business. And that's why so many things don't get done in life, is because you don't turn it into a must. A must will happen. So how do I turn my goals into that must? I must hit this much on our sales revenue. I must hit this on our profitability. I don't know how. I'm not going to get stuck in the tyranny of how. I'm just going to make sure that I do this. Now, yes, we were supposed to hire a salesperson. I didn't technically hire a salesperson, but I did train someone to do sales and she's taking it over. So now we've kind of pivoted and we're hiring a different C-suite position.
Right.
That's okay, because at the end of the day, that roadmap was just guideposts throughout my year to ensure that I would actually hit those goals. But my whole team knows, if we put that up on that goal board, it is an absolute freaking must. If we miss it at the end of the year, we're going to review why we missed it. But my standard for me is that 80% of the goals I set personally and professionally are accomplished by the end of the year. I don't know how. I make them very much stretch goals, but it's really having, again, that discipline. And that's why I think I love business, is because it truly does discipline you in so many different facets and makes it to where the world is your entire creative playground. It just depends on what action you're going to take to make it a reality.
I just love everything you're saying. Guys, this is the reason I love entrepreneurship so much. And the reason I try and talk people into it every day is because you turn into this kind of a person who, they take action, they look at reality and what it really takes. It's not just busy work. It's not planning stuff just so you feel productive. It's, okay, this has to get done. It's a do or die. It's a, extreme accountability type lifestyle. And within a team, you can go so far as long as you all have the same vision and the goals are aligned. And the thing is, if you're not checking up on your goals, especially as a team, quick, because you start to fall apart very quickly. And you'll also realize that when everybody actually understands the vision, it's so much easier to understand what goals take priority, because you start to recognize, if this really is our vision, because like, for instance, I wanted to become a New York Times bestselling author. And I was telling my little brother, I was like, what do you think is the fastest way I could get there? And he was like, well, if you co-author with, a current New York Times bestselling author, you'll probably get it pretty quick and fairly certainly. And I was like, that's true. Like, that's a totally different path than I might have taken. But when you understand the real goal, it's really, you start to find all these new ways that you can do it. But when you have that real, it's do or die, and you're checking in, I don't know. Do you guys do your year goal, or do you do more than that?
So there's a really fantastic book for entrepreneurs that changed. I've got two entrepreneurial changed my profitability and success and goals. And the first one is Mike Michalowic's Profit First. I went from traveling 275 days a year and making less than a Starbucks barista, working part-time, literally one day a week type girl, to being a profitable business. So thank you, Mike. He was a speaker of our event last year. Definitely been a podcast. I fangirl over Mike. I'm so in love with that man. But then the second one is Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. And in that book, they talk about building your 10-year vision. And when I first started to write out my 10-year vision, that was it was weird because I thought, okay, how old will I be in 10 years? What does my life look like? But that mental stretch effort to try and create a 10-year vision, literally now, like you said, prioritizes my time. If I know this is where I want to be personally, professionally, and in my relationship in 10 years, instantly I'm able to set a different plan today. So I do a 10-year goal with my team. We review it every single quarter. So this would be the power of cadences, rituals, and routines. Every single quarter we review it. We ensure that that's truly where we still want to go. And then, like you said, I am very visual. I actually have team vision boards. So at our office for our team, we've built out on Canva. It's my favorite one. I've got a 10-year vision board of what we're creating with pictures. I have a vision board in my office here for myself. And then in my bedroom, I have one for me and my husband. So I'm constantly inundated with these goals personally and professionally, but I've just found, like you said, another visual that I really love is burn the freaking boats. If you're going to go for this and be a New York Times bestseller, burn the boat. So there's no other option. It is I absolutely must get this done. And I think so many people think that this is who they want to become. For me, I just freaking love dentistry. I love dentistry. I love serving people. I love expanding what people believe is possible in their lives and in their practices. Right. That's what lights my fire. I could talk to you about teeth numbers and confirmation calls and new patients and how you can grow your practice and make it so much easier. That lights me up. So for me, building a business was pretty much inevitable. I love business. I love the creative playground I get to have, but I do it because that's what Kiera loves. I'm not doing it for status. I'm not doing it because I want to be X, Y, or Z. It's literally, this is my passion. This is my calling. This is what I feel like I was made to be. This is what I'm meant to do. And so it's a must for me rather than I want a really nice house. Guess what, guys? There's 1,000 freaking different ways to get a really nice house or a nice boat that are much easier than building a business. Like, go schmooze your neighbor that has a boat and like bum off of them. I'm sure that they'll like, there's so many different ways.
Right.
But when your goals are must and they're who you ultimately know you want to become, burn those boats and make it a reality. Don't sit back. And I love that this is another great quote from Tony. He says, are you a manager of your circumstances or a creator of your life? And I think of that often, like, am I creating my life or am I just managing my circumstances?
Well, and guys, can you see, I mean, the thing is, when you see someone this, driven, I just think it's so great to surround yourself with people like Tony Robbins. I mean, because the thing is, as soon as you're making your 10-year plan, as soon as you start hanging around Tony, you start to see what he did in 10 years or 20, I mean, look at it. I mean, if you guys don't already know, like, I mean, he hangs around some of the most successful people on earth and he's seen it happen. He's done it. I mean, I've hung around people who have been mentored by Tony before and they are all on fire. And so it's like, you may see a 10-year plan that you think is possible, but like we just heard, are you a manager of your circumstance or are you a creator of your, your life, your destiny, what you're going to do in 10 years? I mean, if you look at life 10 years ago, you can just see how much has happened and how many people have just changed the world. And so incredible. I love how many book recommendations we've had, guys. I think that speaks to something here. I mean, I've been trying to do my 1 book a week this year and it's been life-changing. My life has literally just gone. I mean, I've been making so much more money, so many better connections, so many better moves. And I think more than anything, I think something Robin Sharma said is he was like, a true master, they know not what to put in to the masterpiece, but what to leave out. Because guys, by the time you're getting to Kiera's level, you don't have all the time in the world. And you really, I mean, especially when you're thinking, what am I doing in 10 years? And it's usually really big. You start, I mean, I love like 10X. I mean, come on, you get excited about these goals. And the thing is, it gets this focus and this energy into your life that is amazing. And you start to find connections that want to help you, that are on similar paths. And it's like, it is just the most incredible journey, but you got to be ready to see the picture. So
you're exactly right. And I think it's something where when your goals become musts, when that becomes your focus, your obsession, if you will, it's kind of like when you go to buy a new car and all of a sudden that car shows up everywhere you're driving, you see it everywhere. And the answer is it was always there. You just weren't looking. I could do a really fun exercise and ask you guys to look around the room for the next 10 seconds and find every single thing you see that's white and count it up. We're going to have a prize and you're going to look around, like do it right now with me. Look around the room, count them all up. I'm going to have you close your eyes and ask, how many things did you see that were red? The answer is you're probably not going to see anything that's red because you were looking for white. And honest to goodness, you're going to make half things that are off white and different colored white, or maybe a little beige. You're going to count it so you find more of those things. But the answer is all these things are actually all around us. It just depends on like what you focus on is what you're going to achieve. And so I think that that's honestly my biggest takeaways from business are it's all there, all the opportunities, all the knowledge, like you mentioned about books, you guys, I've learned to listen to Audible on 4 times the speed. And it's just a like discipline training that I do.
Whoa.
Podcasts, as long as they don't have accents, I usually can get them there, but I can't do anything else. I'm like literally like sitting there like a robot, listening to them, consuming it. And they say more gold is mined from the minds of men than from anywhere else on the earth. And so just realizing like it's all there. But again, it goes back to those simple daily disciplines and practices. And if you can have a daily discipline with yourself where you daily, whether it's meditate or you do yoga or you work out, but you stay consistent. And I'm not saying perfect, I'm saying consistent. So 80-90% of the time, you show up for yourself the way you want to. That consistency is going to roll into the other phases of your life, to the areas where you're going to start to see more of those red opportunities showing up because you're looking for them and they're there. Mentors are there. People are there to help you. It just depends on what are you willing to do to get there? And is it a must or a should? Because I will promise you all day long, until it becomes a must, you won't get there. You might get lucky and here and there, you might get it. I mean, like 3 fiancés, guys, I clearly was like absolutely determined on it. It became a must. That's why I got married on the 3rd round. But like, until these things become musts, I've just found that it's more wishes. They're floating by you, and life can float you by. I just ask the question of, when I look back at my life, this is truly my like driving motivator. I ask myself, I don't really know what's going to happen when we die. We have all these different ideas, but I mean, I've never talked to someone who's died and gone on and come back and told me what it really is like. So we just have these ideas of what it can be. And I've often thought, like, let's just hypothetical. I don't know that this is where I stand. I don't know this is what I believe, but I'm like, let's just do a hypothetical that I actually get reincarnated and I come back as someone else. My goal today as Kiera Dent is to make this world a place that if I ever came back, this would be a better world because I was a part of it. Now, even if I don't come back, for my future posterity, my future children, I want to live a life that's so great, that touches so many people, that's what motivates me. That's what inspires me. That is our, like, in the middle of my vision board right here, it says massive impact. Today, my massive impact is within dentistry, but it's going to keep driving and evolving. I'm very young. I'm 35 years young. And I just think, if I really was creating a world that I would want to live in, that's going to make a greater impact for people all around. And that does not mean I have to be a business owner. This can mean that I do it within my family, who then goes and impacts other people. This doesn't mean it has to be this big, miraculous thing. It can literally be in the simple conversations amongst friends at school. But me personally, Kiera, having that discipline to constantly be pushing the envelope of who I am, of the things I believe, of my peer group around me, the things I'm learning, so I can constantly positively impact this world in the greatest way possible to make it better for you, for me, and all the future people to come after us.
Yeah, that's so great. I recognize you were pointing out kind of at the beginning, you were pointing out that a lot of people don't cheer you on in this. I mean, you don't get the handwritten letters from everybody telling you how great you're doing. And frankly, I've had a lot of people try to talk me out of entrepreneurship when they're like, no, like, go to college, man, like, just find a job, be simple, be safe, like. And they just don't feel that same thing. But I think you learn to kind of be your own cheerleader. And it sounds like you have this mentality where you are very positive about all your effort. You're not talking yourself down about not being somewhere yet. You're talking yourself up about how you're staying consistent. So what is your mental self-talk like? I mean, I know a lot of people struggle with it. They don't think they should try something, even if it is the red thing or the white thing that they're finally kind of looking for. What's your mental kind of self-talk like?
Oh, Mikey, that's a great question. I think we all struggle with this. I will first speak to your entrepreneur, where people are trying to talk you out of entrepreneurship. And I will say, for every entrepreneur that I've ever met, there is this insatiable itch within inside of you. And until you become a business owner, it will never go away. I tried so hard I thought I was going to be this perfect little like Mormon wife. I thought I would like love to bake and craft. And while I still love to do that, like, guys, I just freaking was made to be a business owner. Like, I love it. I love it so much. I love the like bad days, the great days. I love the success tax. I love to make money. I love to be wealthy. I love to have like the days where I'm like, I freaking hate this, and I'm gonna throw it out the window and like, call me up today and I'll sell it to you. Like, that crazy roller coaster, I would say. And any entrepreneur listening that just heard that, if you get it, you get it. And if you don't do it. Like, it's a mayhem world, but yet when you get it, go for it, because there will be nothing in this world that can give you as much joy and as much heartache as running a business. And it's just this, again, I'm going to go back to Tony Robbins. He said that business is the most spiritual journey you'll ever be on. And I will say, I completely agree. I didn't understand it. I still don't fully grasp it, but there is spirituality within business, and it's just a beautiful thing. So that's my first little tip on, yeah, sure, go to college. I did too, but then guess what? Like, I still did what I wanted to do, but everything in life is just giving you experience and for your good. So that would be number one. Number two is, yeah, I've got mean girl Kiera that hangs out with me all day long. Like, she loves to show up and rear her ugly head. I think, again, it just comes back to that meditation, that discipline. So for me, there are many days that I have this mean girl Kiera that says, Kiera, who the heck are you? This last weekend, I just put on a virtual summit. We had over 700 people there. And I asked myself, who am I? What am I doing? Like, I don't have any knowledge. Why am I even trying to put this on? Like, you're such an idiot. Like, those things are common, but I would ask the question of how much do you feed that? And when I catch it, I'm like, well, you can just hang out and go to the side. I know I was meant to be here. I also have friends that I've built a pretty good group of and I'm not like super open. People always think I'm like I am very public and very outgoing, but my core crew of people that really know my inside life, there's a very small, intimate group of those people. But those are my rocks. Those are the people that when I'm having a rough day, or when I need to remind myself that like the world needs my voice, the world needs this, like dentistry needs me. Those are the people that I go to remind me. I also think it's important to write in your journal. I really do write my 3 accomplishments from the day before and 3 areas to improve, because it kind of keeps that mean girl at bay, if you will, because I'm constantly assessing myself day in and day out of what I do well and what I don't. And I will go back to when I very first started, and I did not love myself. And so every day, it's a daily practice now. I write something that I truly do love about myself, whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally, and they're very specific. And to me, those are like little love notes to myself of just reminding myself of how good I am, because you can tell yourself how terrible you are, or you can tell yourself how great you are. And both are equal voices. It just depends on which one you want to listen to. And for me, I have enough like rah, rally negativity that I choose to have my space within myself as a safe landing place. And I've gone through a lot of coaches. I've gone through a lot of mentors, a lot of therapists to help with that. And I'm not perfect. I mean, earlier today, I was like, what are you doing? But I think it's more quieting that voice and loudening the one that is your cheerleader that rallies you on. But I really did have to learn. I think of something that I love the most. For some people, it's dogs. For me, I don't know that I love a lot of things in life. The one that came to me is truly seeing elderly people sitting at a restaurant. Like the second I thought of that and just seeing them sitting there alone, after they've probably had this like very magical life and they're sitting there alone, like that is the one where I just have this like, oh, my heart like gushes open for those people. And I want to invite them over and like hang out with them. And if I would give that much love for those people to myself, what a different world my life would be for me. And I've just found like, let me make my life inside my internal chatter more of a safe landing place of just true love, because I can beat myself up all day long, or I can rally myself. And which one's going to give me more momentum? It is truly the one that builds myself up with complete like honesty. I'm very honest with myself, but really truly rallying that side of me. And then when I need extra help, which is often, I don't just wait till I'm like down in the depths, but reaching out to those people who are the raving fans of me, that are in my intimate circle, that I can really call on and rely on, I think is paramount for success, for growth, and happiness.
Guys, this has been, I mean, I think our podcast started leveling up. Like, I mean, it's just every episode gets better. This is so real. This is such real life stuff. And recognize that, like, if you feel like you can't actually quiet down any negative voices, remember what we said earlier, look at all the white ones. You can choose what you're looking at. You can choose your thoughts. And if you think you can't, get into meditation, work that muscle, get to where you control it, and then choose what you see. If you need a more physical representation to kind of start, journal. We just heard it. Get in there, write down. And when you write down the 3 things, there's a thing I found in, what's it called? Tools for Titans. Great book if you guys want to just find some new practices. But the 5-minute journal, you write down 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things that you're going to get done that day, and then 3 I am kind of personality traits that you want to develop. But then I always added in at the end of the day, I'd come back and I'd say, okay, what are the 3 things that I actually got done? And then what are 3 things I could have done better? And I think when you give an acknowledgement to the fact that you're not perfect, that you do have space to work on, it quiets down that negative voice, because rather than just ignoring it and trying to block it out, like we just heard, be honest with yourself, be very open and real, and recognize what you do have to improve on. Because guys, years from now, like that's going to be such a small thing to you, because you're going to be honest and develop through that. And that's where business really does become a real spiritual journey. It becomes a thing where often we talk about spiritual recovery on this podcast, and it's very much, a lot of people have said that it's their main thing is they need to realign with themselves and their identity and kind of their vision for what their actual contribution to this world is going to be. And I love that your board says, what's my huge impact, or what's the
massive impact?
Massive impact. Because guys, everything you do in this life is a ripple effect. It goes so much farther. I mean, they just did, I just had the word. You guys just did an event with 700 people. Guys, can you imagine? I mean, what's she going to be doing at the end of her 10 years? And more than that, how much farther is that going to go? I mean, she's already impacted people on a huge level, people that she doesn't even really know. She's impacted people like her sister, who I met and I said, who needs to be on my podcast? And she was like, my sister. I mean, and this podcast is hopefully going to go to so many people and it's going to touch their lives, because this has been a really amazing time. Kiera, I want to ask you one more thing, kind of as we're just wrapping up. I mean, there's so many things I would like to ask you, but I just want to know, like, is there one lesson that you're really learning right now in your life that you think, or maybe a lesson overall in your life, but just a big lesson that you think that everybody would really benefit from hearing?
Yeah. And thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I will plug one more book for what you just wrapped up, and that is The Untethered Soul. I think was one of my favorite books. It's very deep. It's very heavy. I did it in a book club, but that really helped me understand that the voice, and it definitely made me question, like, who the heck am I? So that was a weird moment of like, I don't even know who I am. I'm not Kiera, I'm not this, but that was a really good one for quieting the voice. Also, there's another one, Comparisonitis by Melissa, like Abrosini or something like that. She's from Australia. Phenomenal book that also talks, especially for women. I think we're very comparing creatures. And that was a really phenomenal book as well. So, but as far as a lesson, I'm going to just answer specifically what you asked of it. If there's a lesson I'm learning today, because right now we are going through IVF. I mentioned, I have felt my whole life, like my identity around it. We miscarried when we were in pharmacy school, and we're going through IVF, and I have never truly felt heartache, a broken heart like I feel it today. We just found out last week that none of our eggs made it from our first one. And I've never, ever, ever felt heartache and just this like sense of loss like I do now. And so I think everyone, whether you're on my journey or in your own journey, I think all of us could empathize and relate with feeling some sense of loss, whether it's lost identity, loss of friends, loss of whatever it is in your world today. And I think the lesson I'm learning right now is to slow down and show grace and love. And I think so often as entrepreneurs, we are just driven to be successful. We are like, you put something in front of me and I'm going to go after it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to nail it. It's going to be mine. Like, watch out, here she comes. It will be mine. But yet there are certain things in life that we truly don't have control over. Me having kids, I have zero control over. I've done everything within my power. Sometimes having that success of a business isn't today. God's delays are not God's denials. And so really just giving yourself that space to be a human rather than a machine. Some days I just cry at the drop of a hat, and I just feel like, get it together, Kiera, like, come on, put it together, like button that up. But I'm really starting to learn that I think there's beauty in the surrender. There's beauty in the breaking of who you are to allow new life of who you're meant to be, to transform as well. I say today that this Kiera is a Kiera that I've created. She's not the one that was born to my parents. She's not the one that my religion wanted me to be. This is truly the version of Kiera that I want to be, that I'm proud to be, that I'm going to keep evolving into. And so right now it's that lesson of, all right, this is a space that I don't even know how to navigate. I've never experienced these emotions, and to just be gentle with yourself wherever you are in your life. To be gentle, you're learning, and the process of life is not to be masterful today, but to give yourself the space to learn, to grow, and to evolve, and really enjoy that morphing. I often think of caterpillars morphing into butterflies, where they literally transform from who they were into something even greater. And so just being gentle, and giving that grace in that space. If you're on the path right now where you're just slaying it, like, keep slaying it, and just realize around another bend, there will be a time where you will literally be smacked across the face with something you didn't expect. And to allow those moments of pure surrender, despair, but to hang out there only for a minute where you visit it and come back with the resolve to just learn from it, to be gentle with it, and to love yourself through it, because you're learning. And this is something that's not meant to be machine, it's meant to be human, because that is really how you realize that life is always happening for you and not to you.
That is so amazing, guys. And I think I just want to point out how brave it is and how amazing it is that, I mean, as entrepreneurs, one of our faults is that we sometimes, when we're forced to be human, we want to lean into the machine side. we want to just work and work and work and ignore our personal selves or our personal growth or our personal challenges. And I think it is so important that she said, slow down and show grace and love. I mean, that's just, guys, it's so human. Slow down, show grace and love. And I mean, that's towards you, that's towards everyone around you, because it makes you a different person, and you're growing and you're just becoming that. And it is so important to make sure you know the times that you need to pull back and look at these other lessons and not just lean into busy work or ignoring kind of that growth, because it's a time. I mean, I am 100% positive that what Kiera is going through right now is going to make her a better entrepreneur. And it's not going to be because she focuses more on business. It's going to be because she develops as a person. Mm-hmm. So guys, this has been just the most amazing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Kiera, I really hope someday we get you back on the podcast or something, because guys, go follow her. We're going to have all of her links below. Go check out her company. If you know somebody that could benefit from her services and her company, get on it, go listen to their podcast. A whole bunch of good over here. So anyway, Kiera, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. I just appreciate it, and rooting on all these entrepreneurs, all these listeners to live their best life of whatever that looks like. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.